Guys, Movie Fan 356 here, and today we're going to have another movie review. As you guys saw in the title and the thumbnail, we are talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, the next Marvel film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Avengers universe, and geographically, it's the furthest away from the Avengers as you could possibly get. But there are Avengers feels to it. Of course it is. It's in the same universe. You get Avengers clues in here. You get all kinds of shit. Without kind of giving away spoilers, this is basically what the plot of the movie is. And for those of you who don't know, Star-Lord, aka Peter Quill, played by Chris Pratt in the film, gets this orb, and it's worth something to a lot of people in the galaxy. And there's this bounty out on him where Gamora, Rocket, and Groot are all trying to hunt him down for this. And they all get locked away in prison, and because they're criminals, all of them are criminals, and they decide there's an evil force out there. It's even bigger than what they could have expected. They need to come together and save the galaxy. Hence, they are guarding the galaxy because they are the freaking guardians of the galaxy. And going into this film, I knew a lot about Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't read every single issue, so I'm not saying I knew 100% everything on Guardians of the Galaxy, but I did know a lot. Like, a lot. I knew what I needed to know for this particular movie. And even if you don't know Guardians of the Galaxy, it's okay because they explain everything you need to know in this movie. Which I thought was great. The storyline is great. You get a lot of comedy in this film, as the trailers indicated, but the comedy is placed perfectly in the right moments. It's the right jokes at the right times, and this is essentially more of a comedy film than an action film. It's more of Marvel meets space opera. That's what it is. Like, if Star Trek and Star Wars combine together, and then you add Marvel to that, that's what Guardians of the Galaxy is, and it's freaking great. It's freaking phenomenal. And I don't know why I'm saying frickin'. I'm not censoring myself on my own channel. It was fucking great. So yeah, I mean that's all I can really say about my initial reactions about the film. I know I have somebody else here who saw the film with me. And what is your reaction to Guardians of the Galaxy?
It was amazing.
It was what?
Amazing.
Amazing. And you knew nothing about Guardians of the
No, I
Galaxy.
had no idea anything about it.
And you came out of this movie.
Not quite a lot.
Yeah. So it's a really great film. Let's talk about the characters and the acting of the film. The acting is spectacular. I will admit, when they announced half the cast for this film, I was a little worried about a couple casting choices because I knew I knew a lot about Guardians, and these actors I just couldn't really see fitting. But man, they are the perfect actors and actresses to get in this film for the story, for the direction that these characters were going, for how they portrayed their personalities. This was the perfect cast. I mean, Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec, which I'm not a big fan of that show. He was a chunker on that show, and he's beefed as fuck in this movie. I mean, holy fuck. I mean, goddamn. Perfect Star-Lord. Oh my god. Zoe Saldana, who's always, pretty much every movie she's in, she's a different color. Avatar, she was blue. Guardians, she's green. Maybe in the next one she'll be pink or something. I don't know. But,
Or purple.
man, she was great in this film. She kicked some ass, which the trailer show her kicking ass a little bit, but I'm like, it looks like they're not going to do much with Gamora in this film, action wise. Man, does she deliver? I'll tell you. Another one I was worried about because they didn't really show too many action scenes with him kicking ass in the trailers and stuff. They showed a little tidbit, but not that much. Is Dave Bautista as Drax the Destroyer? He kicked some ass in this movie, and he was the one I was probably most worried about out of the Guardians themselves. He was the one I was most worried about. He kicked ass. Trust me, the trailers don't show you anything. I mean, you see a couple good jokes, but the best jokes were not in any of the trailers at all. Then you got a couple voice actors in here. You got Vin Diesel as Groot. Man, you can hear Vin Diesel in that. I mean, Groot's a character that only says 3 words and 3 words only. I am Groot. I am Groot. But the cool thing about Groot is because he just says I am Groot, in the context and the conversations that they have, whenever he does say "I am Groot," you understand what he's saying in a way. Like they're talking about doing this and this and this. Groot goes, "I am Groot," and then they go, "Oh, okay, so we'll do this," and they pretty much tell you what Groot's saying, without any subtitles or anything like that. You understand Groot. It's like you walk out of this movie understanding Groot's language. You do.
And you can sure as hell tell it was Vin Diesel.
Oh yeah.
Even when he was making his.
Yeah, there's a moment in the film, without spoilers, where Groot kind of yells a little bit, and you can still hear Vin Diesel in that, which is great. Another voice actor we have in this film is Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon. Now, Rocket Raccoon, from what I remember, had an Australian accent in the comics and stuff like that. He always had an Australian accent. So when I'm like, Bradley Cooper as Rocket, you're gonna cast Bradley Cooper, a non-Australian actor, doing the voice of a raccoon with machine guns and that can speak. I don't know how that's gonna work out. But then I started seeing the trailers. I'm like, I'm in. Man, trailers don't show nothing on Bradley Cooper's Rocket Raccoon either. Holy shit. And that's basically, I mean, you get other cast members in here, like Michael Rooker's playing Yondu in the film. You get Glenn Close in here playing Nova Prime. You get John C. Reilly in here. Yes, the guy from Step Brothers and all the Will Ferrell movies. He's in this film. He does a really good job in this film. He's not in the movie too much, but he does what he needs to do, and he does his best. Now, now that we got all that out of the way, I'm going to give it a grade. We're going to talk about some spoilers because I can't really say much about this film without giving away spoilers. I'm going to give this movie my highest rating, an A+. I am. I mean, it's going to get a high rating. I know I say this about every single Marvel movie that comes out, but this is probably my new favorite Marvel movie, at least until the next one. The next one we're getting is Avengers: Age of Ultron, so I mean, right now it's my favorite Marvel movie. It tops Thor: The Dark World and Iron Man 3, and does it top Avengers? I'm gonna say slightly, just a little bit. And I loved Avengers. I gave Avengers a 10 out of 10, which would be an A+ now. Winter Soldier just blew us all away, and I'm ready to say it's better than Winter Soldier, just slightly though. It's not saying that Winter Soldier is a bad film compared to Guardians of the Galaxy. Not at all. They're both great films, but they're both also very, very different films. So it's hard to compare the two, even though it is the same universe. And like I said, you get little tidbits that this is still the Avengers universe, but for the most part, it's a standalone movie. But you can see little tidbits that does connect it with the Avengers universe. That having been said, we're going to talk about some spoilers now. So if you have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy yet, you can click out of this video, come back and watch this video when you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, and we can discuss spoilers together. Alright, A+. Go see Guardians of the Galaxy. Anything else you want to add before we give spoilers?
No.
Alright, spoiler time. My biggest flaw in the movie, because there is a couple flaws in this film. It's not a perfect film. The biggest flaw I had was the villain, Ronan the Accuser. And it's not that he was a bad villain. It's just his motivation and his whole purpose was weak and generic. We've seen it all before. It's stale. There's really not much to it. It doesn't go much deeper than what you find out. Oh, I'm just gonna do this and this and this. I mean, that's about it. I mean, he was still a badass when he needed to be, I guess. But the problem was that was my biggest flaw, because I remember Ronan the Accuser being a little bit more badass in the comics and shit like that. Another biggest worry, not enough Thanos. I mean, we knew Thanos was only going to be a small role. We knew his presence was going to be here in Guardians. And we knew it was only going to be a small role, but I wanted more than 2 minutes of Thanos. I mean, if you would have given me like 15 minutes of Thanos total in the whole movie, end credit scenes and all, I think I would have been happy with that. I would have been satisfied. Maybe that's just my sweaty nerd-isms wanting more of the biggest, baddest creature in the Marvel universe.
I have a question.
You have a question, yes.
The way
Ronan.
what was on his face? Is that blood?
I guess you'll just have to watch the movie again or read a comic. Yes, this movie is definitely worth a second ticket price.
Because they like put it on his face, but they only showed it going right here, and then it was all over his face.
Yeah. That was pretty much my only flaws in the movie. End credit scene. I mean, okay, so there's this one. Before we get to the end credit scenes, we're gonna go the final battle between Ronan the Accuser and the Guardians of the Galaxy and Nebula and all of them. Fantastic. Groot actually gets to kick some ass, which was awesome. But shortly after that, Ronan the Accuser kills Groot. He kills Groot. And I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting them to kill off Groot. I knew, Groot's gonna come back because they're doing a Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and their Avengers 3 is most likely. They haven't confirmed this, but we all pretty much figured out Avengers 3 is gonna have Guardians and Avengers fighting against Thanos. So we knew Groot was gonna be back. But I was not expecting it when it happened, and I kind of shed a few tears. I mean, that's the great thing about this movie. It's funny, it's action-packed, and it's also very emotional at times. And
he changed his words.
and he, instead of saying, "I am Groot," the last thing he says before he dies is, "We are Groot." And she cried.
I did.
I teared up. And the great thing about this film is when it's a big emotional scene like that, they leave just enough emotion for you to get your tears out, and then they do a joke and be like, "Oh, it's okay, it's okay." They're kind of like letting you cry it out for a minute and then patting you on the back and say, "Let's move."
Okay.
Right, it's okay. That's what they're doing. Props to Marvel. The ending of the film sets it up for the sequel and future Marvel films, which it is a Marvel film. I mean, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, none of them really end on. I mean, they end on happy endings, but they don't end on a strict "this is it" ending. There's always something else that's going to lead into more stuff later. The end credit scene, the first one, I don't know if you would consider this an end credit scene or not, because it was like right at the beginning of the credits. It wasn't even the middle of the credits. They got through about the title card, and it was this scene. It's Groot is growing back.
Baby Groot.
Rocket has a little, pot where he's growing Groot back again. And there's baby Groot, and he's dancing, to Star-Lord's new mixtape that he has. And he's all dancing. Drax turns around, and he stops and is perfectly still. Drax turns back, and he starts dancing again. I mean, it was a great scene to see Groot back in action. Yes, it was baby Groot, but Groot was back in action.
It was cute.
And the next scene, we see more of the Collector, which we've seen a couple scenes with the Collector in this film. And we see a little bit more with the Collector, and then we pan over and we see Howard the fucking Duck. Yeah, Howard the Duck. I'm like,
Who's Howard the Duck?
Who's Howard the Duck? I'll explain that after I get done filming this video, because she has never heard of Howard the Duck before, and that's not really a bad thing. I mean, it's not really that good. It's not a good thing, but it's not a bad thing. But anyway, put it this way. The last time we seen Marvel do something with Howard the Duck, it ended pretty badly.
So it's a comic book thing?
Yes.
Oh,
okay. I'll go into more detail on that later. But, I mean, there was a rumor going around last couple weeks that Howard the Duck was going to be featured in Guardians of the Galaxy because we seen the credit sheet. The sheet that lists off all the credits of the film, and then at the bottom of the sheet, it says Howard the Duck created by. Something Howard the Duck is going to be in their movie. And it was a rumor. It was never really confirmed. So I just took it as a rumor because I don't take rumors seriously until it's confirmed by someone involved with the project or at the studio themselves. So I'm like, okay, Howard the Duck, it's never going to happen, but can you imagine if it did? And it happened. I'm like, oh, okay. This will be interesting to see what they're going to do with that, or if that was just a little fun thing that they decided to put in there. I don't know. But like I said, I was hoping the end credit scene would be something with Thanos getting the purple Infinity Gem, acquiring that somehow. I mean, we know Nova Prime and all of them kept that locked up at the end of the movie, but I was hoping that some way it would show Thanos acquiring that. It's the first step to the Infinity Gauntlet. If you sweaty comic book nerds like myself know anything about that, then you would understand why we would want that so bad. But that just didn't happen. I'm kind of surprised with that. Like I said, A plus. I don't really know what else I could say about this film. This movie's got everything. Couple minor flaws, but nothing too big. I would say A plus. Go see Guardians of the Galaxy immediately, as soon as you can. It's worth paying full price for. I paid about, for us two, I paid $20.50 for the tickets, and then like 10 something for the drinks, and it's worth all that money. It is. It's shame to admit that I spent that much money, but once I got out of that, I'm like, it was worth it. It was worth it. Any final thoughts you have about Guardians of the Galaxy?
It
No?
was a good movie. I'm
Do you
gonna see it again.
do you recommend people to go check it out?
Oh yeah.
I give it an A plus. What do you give it on the grade scale?
A plus plus.
A plus and A plus plus. So go check out Guardians of the Galaxy. That's all I have to say for today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.